Today you're going to be learning how to make a buttonhole. You have a sewing skill sample sheet for your buttonhole. It has the instructions, how to prepare the fabric for the buttonhole, and on the back it has a copy from the sewing machine manual with each step for making the buttonhole. We'll go over these in more detail in class and as I show you this demonstration. The first thing you need to do is take your 7 by 7 inch sample pattern and cut 2 samples. You're going to have one that will be for your practice and one that you will prepare to do your final sample on. The first thing you need to do is create what's called a placket. A placket is what you find on the front of a shirt. This is an example of a placket on a shirt, and it's folded over with a clean finish, and then the buttonholes are applied inside there. So first you fold over 1/4 of an inch, so use your seam gauge to measure 1/4 and you iron that down, make a crease. After that you fold it again. Now you're going to be folding it 1 inch, so find that using your seam gauge and fold it 1 inch. This is called a clean finish. You'll also use that technique when you hem your pajama pants, and you'll also use it to create the casing for the pajama pants. Next you will mark your buttonholes. The white pencil that you have isn't going to show up, so I have some of these blue fabric marking pencils that you'll use to mark the buttons. You're going to make 3 buttonholes. They will be 1 inch apart and they'll be 1 inch long. So you want to measure over and find the center of your fabric. I don't have the same seam gauge that you guys have in class, so I'm going to use this little dress marking tool that I have. You have notches on your seam gauge in class. This one I have here at home, it doesn't have them, but this does here. And I'll show you on the Elmo too. And you'll mark 3 buttonholes 1 inch apart, and you have to make them look like a capital I. You have to mark them 1 inch, and then you have to make a little bar across each one. That's going to be showing you where to start and stop the buttonhole. So mark 3 of those, and then get a sample piece of fabric where you're going to mark 3 more of them so that you can do your practice buttonhole until you feel confident that you can make it nice and neat. Don't do your sample yet. After you have marked the buttonholes, then you want to stitch the placket down. So you're going to edge stitch on the folded edge here, and then you'll edge stitch on the other folded edge over here. When you sew close to the edge, you want to line it up with the inside corner of the presser foot, and that will give you what's called an edge stitch. After you have edge stitched your placket, you're going to need a special foot to make the buttonhole. So you need to remove the regular foot and bring it to me, and I'll exchange and give you a buttonhole presser foot. So to remove the foot, it's here on the back of the machine, this red little lever. You don't push it down, you'll break it. You have to push it in, up, and it will release the presser foot. So bring that presser foot to me and I will give you the buttonhole presser foot. Let's take a look at the buttonhole presser foot. It's different than the regular presser foot, and it has some features on it that make it easy to sew the buttonhole. First of all, you'll notice that it has 3 toes on it. Those are to help you line up. That center line is going to be where the center of your buttonhole will be. You'll line it up here. The other thing that it has on it is a little notch right here on the side. So this is where you line up your fabric when you start. So you'll line up the top of this notch will line up with the top of the buttonhole marking, and this center toe right here will line up with the center of the buttonhole. So that's how you need to line it up. The other thing that it has on it, on the back, you'll notice on the bottom, it has these little grooves in it. And those grooves are allow the thread to pass through, because when you sew the buttonhole, the stitches are very close together, and you can't slide the presser foot over it. So the grooves in the back of that foot they allow this to slide over the buttonhole as you sew it. So give me your regular presser foot. I'll give you the buttonhole presser foot. There is a little bar on the foot that the ankle will lower down onto. It's right here. So if you have to look kind of sideways at the machine to get it, put the buttonhole foot down there on the stitch plate and then lower this down, and it will catch on there. If it's not catching right away, just kind of wiggle it back and forth until you get it in the right spot. So you have your buttonhole foot attached. You have to do something different with the bobbin threading. You thread the bobbin the exact same way, but I don't know if you've ever noticed there's a little hole in the finger here. You have to take your thread once it's threaded into your bobbin, and then you have to insert it, insert it through that finger hole. So the thread's coming out from the bobbin up through that hole. Then you go ahead and put your bobbin in the same way you do for regular stitching. Hold your top thread, needle up, make sure the take-up lever's at the top, and your bottom thread will come up. I'm sewing this in red thread so it's easy for you to see what I'm doing. Normally you would sew a buttonhole in a thread that was close to the color that your fabric is. Okay, before you begin, make sure all the settings are correct on the sewing machine. You have the right tension. Look, this is left up in the wrong position. I was doing a decorative stitch, so this number 1/2, this stitch allows you straight stitch, zigzag, and also to do the buttonhole. This is on zigzag right now. Make sure that is on 0 and the needle position is in the right position. The one thing that you have to change here is the stitch length. The instruction sheet from the manual could be confusing because in the diagram it shows it all the way up to 0 with this mark at the top. To have the correct stitch for the buttonhole, you need to turn that so that mark is facing down towards the bottom. That's the good starting point. Sometimes if the stitch looks too close together, you can make it a little less, or if it doesn't look like it's close enough, you can make it a little more. But don't leave it all the way up at 0 because 0 means no stitch length, and you'll just get a big tangled mess of thread. So half turn down right there. Then you turn the knob to the first position. So you'll see when you can't turn the knob back the other way, it only can go one direction. So if you're making your buttonhole and you accidentally went 2 notches and you wanted to stop at 2, then you have to just leave it and you have to go all the way around to the beginning. So you'll see also that the needle position and the zigzag position change automatically as you turn it. You'll also see that the needle moves. So it's really, really important every time you change to the next setting, your needle has to be in the up position or you will bend or break the needle. So the needle has to be in the up position before you can go to the next buttonhole setting. And again, if you go past where you need to go, you have to keep going clockwise. So we're going to start out on position number 1. I've checked all my settings and I'm ready to make a practice buttonhole. So this is a little extra piece of fabric that you're going to practice with. You're going to line up the top of the capital I with the notch on the side of the foot, and the center of the foot lines up with the regular part of the buttonhole, and then I'm going to lower the foot down once that's lined up. When you're making your buttonhole, you don't raise and lower the presser foot. The machine's going to do all the work for you. The important part for you is that you have to know where to start and stop the buttonhole. So that's important. That's the part that you have to control. The machine's going to do everything else. So I have it on number 1. I'm going to put my needle down, and the first thing that it's going to sew is the left-hand side of the buttonhole. So use your sheet to know where you're going next so you know what's going to happen. So right now we know we're going from the top of the capital I down to the bottom. It's going to sew kind of slow because it's tiny stitches. Okay, I'm getting close to the bottom. I know I just said leave the presser foot down, but if you need to look to see where you're at, put the needle all the way down, lift the presser foot, and I don't know if you can see, but I've still got to go about another 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to put the foot down and continue. Okay, there I am. I'm near the bottom. Just a couple more if you need to use the hand wheel to get right dead stop on the end of it. Remember, the needle has to be up. I'm going to take and turn the buttonhole knob to number 2. When I go to number 2, it's going to change to a straight stitch. It's going to go over and stitch back up. And this is important. You need to stop even with the top of your buttonhole. Don't go past it. Stop right even with it. Okay. So this is going to go a little faster because we're just doing a straight stitch now. So it's the sliding underneath those channels in the foot. Okay, I'm getting close to the top. There I am. I'm even with the top of it. Now I'm going to go to maybe one more. There. Now I'm going to switch the dial to number 3. Number 3 is going to sew what's called a bar tack. That's the part that goes back and forth across the buttonhole. You only want to do that about 4 or 6 times. The machine's not going to move when you're doing that, so if you do it too many times, it makes a big thick section of thread that sometimes the foot won't pass over it again. So we just need to go 4 or 5 times for the bar tack, and I'm on number 3 now. Okay. And now I leave the needle in the up position. I'm going to number 4. Number 4 is going to sew the other half of the buttonhole. Again, you have to stop even at the bottom, so you have to be prepared when you get to the bottom that you're going to stop. Okay, there I am. I'm even with the bottom. Needle up. Go to number 5. Number 5 is going to create a bar tack on the bottom of the buttonhole. Again, that's just something that you do like 4 to 6 times. Okay, needle up, all the way up. I'm going to change to number 6. This is the last part of the buttonhole. It's going to make a back stitch to secure. And you only have to go up part way. You don't have to go the entire length of the button. Okay, that's good. Needle up. Now I can lift up the presser foot and slide this out. And change the dial back to 0. So I went a little too far. I don't know if you guys can see. When I went up the other thing, I went a little bit too far, so my bar tack is a little off right there. I also feel like this thread on this buttonhole looks really super thick. It was kind of moving slow through the machine. So when I do my next one, I'm going to make it a little bit, tiny bit bigger stitch. I'm just going to, instead of having this be straight down like that, I'm going to make it a little bit longer of a stitch. I think that might come out better. So trim your threads. Now when you open your buttonhole, you use your seam ripper. And you start from one end of the buttonhole. And you just go about halfway. You have to push a little bit hard, so be careful. Then you turn it around, you go into the other half of the buttonhole, and you meet where your other thread cut to, and now you have a buttonhole. So for me, I'd probably practice one more because I don't like how thick the stitch is, and I also didn't stop even at the top here. So I'm going to do another practice one before I make my final sample, and once I feel 100% confident I can do it, then you can make your skills sample that you're going to turn into me. Again, when you open the buttonhole, be really careful because people put the seam ripper in here and they're kind of pushing hard to cut the fabric. Oops, and they do something like that, so you don't want to do that. So remember, go from one side and then go from the other side. I think that's everything, and we'll go over some things in class as well. Okay, that wasn't everything. After you're finished, make sure that you turn the buttonhole dial back to 0. Also remember to change the stitch length to 2.5, and then you'll need to return this buttonhole foot to me. So just, press the lever on the back. It will drop off. Bring that, give it back to me. Come and get your regular presser foot. I'll line that up, and there you go, you're all done.